We welcome you back to the Eagles pregame show brought to you by SeatGeek. Ben Goldstein and Matt Brown. It's week 8 of the NFL season, and the Eagles are rocking their Kelly Greens in their final game before the bye as they host the New York Football Giants in the second matchup over the last 3 weeks with the Giants from not New York, New Jersey. Matt, how are you on this beautiful Sunday afternoon?
You know, I am feeling really good. I feel like fall is finally in full effect. Like, we kind of had the first, October 26th? Now, it's almost Halloween, which is crazy to think about that too. But the first couple weeks of fall or October just didn't feel like fall. No one bit. It was still like 80s degree. It feels still like summer. So feels good. You know, it's hoodie weather, even though I'm not wearing a hoodie right now. I have just a regular jersey on. But it finally feels like we're in football season. You know, we're almost halfway through the NFL season already. Crazy saying that as well. But it feels like we're finally getting back to the greatest time of the year, which is sports equinox is going on too. Like, we have that tonight. That's awesome. I think this is only not tonight, tomorrow, excuse me,
Wow.
for game 3. It's only like the 30-something, 40-something time ever, which is pretty cool. So happy to have all these sports on right now, but I'm really excited to talk about the Birds today.
Yeah, big game for the Eagles today. We'll get into why it's such a big game in just a little bit. And it's always fun when the Eagles wear on their Kelly Greens. However, in my opinion, I like the midnight greens more than the Kelly Greens. Maybe it's just because that's what I've grown up with. But the Eagles have won 2 Super Bowls in the midnight greens. Their best teams have been worn in the midnight greens. Like, Kelly Greens, they went to 1 Super Bowl, and other than that, it was really just losing. So I think for all the people that say, oh, Eagles need to go back to the Kelly Greens primarily, the midnight green is legacy in Philadelphia. Kelly Green is associated with more losing seasons.
No, yeah, 100%. It kind of felt like, I don't remember exactly the first season that they brought them in, but it felt like that was the change that Jeffrey Lurie brought when he had the team and he took over. Kind of felt like midnight green was like the way to go. And nothing wrong with, I love midnight green. I think it's such a unique color. Like, you don't really see many other teams in all across all sports. Like, I couldn't really tell you any of the 4 other major sports that even comes to a color close to this. But the Kelly green is sweet. I do. It's it pops, and especially on the jerseys and the helmets now, it all looks so sick with the pants as well, the gray pants. No, they're definitely, in my opinion, the best alternate jersey in the NFL. Like, I think the only thing that comes close to them is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers creamsicles. They're sick. Those creamsicles are really cool. They're the only thing I think that come close. Like, everybody else's, some of them are good, like the Broncos orange ones or the Seattle light blue ones. They're cool, but nothing beats Kelly Green, in my opinion. You can like the midnight green ones if you have the bias with growing up, and I'm the same way too. I do love the midnight greens, but these Kelly Greens are sweet, man. They pop, and I can't wait to see them in action this Sunday, or today, really.
Yeah, they are nice, but I think you gotta rock with the midnight green as the primary. And Eagles won I've won both their Super Bowls in it, so
they got to keep it special. They got to keep these for a special case. They can't be using these all the time. Like, I like how they do it with a couple games.
The Eagles have been to 5 Super Bowls, and 4 of them have been wearing the midnight, or 3 of them. They've been 4 Super Bowls. Oh wait, how many of them?
Yeah, 4 Super Bowls, and they weren't all midnight.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the last time these 2 teams met up. It was ugly. The Eagles lost 34-17. Everything was bad. The last time the Eagles have lost to the Giants at Lincoln Financial Field was 2013. They looked to avoid a sweep today. Everything was bad for the Giants. For the Eagles 2 weeks ago in MetLife Stadium on Thursday night. I unfortunately was in the building, and it was not fun. It was not a fun time to be wearing midnight green. Actually, I was wearing Kelly green at MetLife Stadium.
No, that game, that was just the topping on all of it. As many know, that was the same day that the Phillies ended up losing the NLDS to the Dodgers. They literally walked it off right at halftime.
Yep.
And then the second half proceeded to be maybe the worst half of the entire Eagles season so far. It's either that one or the one against Denver. But it's that was a really tough day overall. Like it was raining in New York. They just didn't want to be there. It felt like they just gave up, kind of just like the Phillies literally lost, and it felt like the Eagles just like they lost. You know what? Let's just pack it in today and go home. But they battled back the following week. Last week against Minnesota, they looked like a very different team compared to the week prior. I don't know if the 10 days really helped them, but it looked like on the field that their defense was playing better. Their offense passing game finally got going. Jalen Hurts had one of the best days passing wise in his career, probably number one overall. He had perfect passer rating and 300 yards, hooking up with AJ and Smitty for most of that. It looked like a well-oiled machine overall. Were they perfect? No, they're not. We're going to be perfect. Like the only time they've ever been perfect, honestly, is the Super Bowl. That's the best Eagles have ever looked, in my opinion. Are they going to be able to do that every single week? Probably not. And once again, despite the record of the Giants today, 2-5, this is no 2-5 Giants team. This team is hungry. This team's young. They have some really good playmakers on offense and on defense. It's going to be a battle today. I truly don't think this line is like getting bigger and bigger. It feels like I think it's almost up to 8.5 points, which is crazy to me. This is going to be a tight division game. It kind of feels like how Washington was last year. Like maybe not as good of a record like as Washington last year, but they're a scrappy team, the Giants, and they're going to battle today. It's going to be really hard-nosed football between both these teams. Cam Scatterbo ran all over us last time. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that again today. And Dart had a field day as well. We'll see if that's possible, but it's going to be a battle between these two, and I'm really excited to watch.
Eagles were without Jalen Carter the last time they played the Giants, which kind of opened up the Giants' running game, but we'll get into that and other specifics as we go along the show. For the Giants, they're coming off a bad loss to the Broncos as well. They led 19-0 going into the fourth quarter and lost 33-32. Crazy. The game didn't even go to overtime. First time ever a team lost after leading by 18 or more points with less than 6 minutes to play. It feels like when teams lose a game like that, they either respond in great fashion and come out hungry and get the win, or they look like the Eagles did when they blew their lead to the Broncos and they went out and died against the Giants. There's two ways the team can respond to that. How will the Giants respond to that?
No, 100%. We're getting the Giants on a bad time, it feels like. But they were vividly pissed off. And there was a video last week of Brian Burns, I think it was, walking to the locker room, and he was visibly upset that just happened. Like, they couldn't believe that, like you said, leading by over 18 for the first time ever, anybody's came back from that lead under 6 minutes, which it was unbelievable watching that game because you felt like the Broncos were, putting together good drives. And you're like, man, can they actually come back from this? This is like a 3-score game. And then all of a sudden they get down to a 2-score game. All of a sudden they're scoring a 1-score game. And then all of a sudden they get the ball back and they take the lead. And you're like, oh my God, they're about to win this game. And then Giants go down, they get a touchdown, they go back ahead, but they miss the extra point. And then Denver again goes right back down the field and gets the game-winning field goal. So that was such a crazy game last week. One of the best quarters of football I've seen. Not like the best technical, but like best just all around action for that entire quarter. But yeah, we're seeing the Giants at a really bad time. They're pissed off. They know that they're not going to win many games this year, and they feel like they know that. They're kind of destined to be like that 7-10 team this year, maybe 8-9 if they get lucky. That just scraps and kind of builds on this year, and then next year's the year where they can maybe make a run with like a fourth or a third place schedule. So that kind of feels like the way the Giants are moving this season. And I feel like they know that too, but they're hungry. They don't like the Eagles. They have been saying it during media this week. Jackson Dart's been talking about how he doesn't know what the hostile environment's going to be like. They're saying a bunch of players are prepping him to be careful when he's there, which I think is kind of dumb. Like, he's going to be fine. He's going to hear it from the fans, but if he can't take a little hooting and hollering in his ear, like, what are you doing? Like, as long as they don't say anything like absurdly insane, it's not that big of a deal. It's just you might get flipped off a little bit, like Eli Manning used to by some kids. But they don't like this team. They don't like each other. It's going to be a battle between these two. I've been saying it all again and again. It's going to be hard-nosed, not like each other. Maybe some fights on the field, like some separation stuff like that. But I just really hope that Eagles can come out and avenge themselves from 2 weeks ago and basically put their foot down and say, we are still contenders, not only in the NFC, but the NFL overall, because it kind of feels like the Eagles are just getting a little bit disrespected as of recent weeks. I think their 5 wins are some of the 5 best wins you could put up against any NFL team. Not many NFL teams can say they've beaten the Chiefs, the Vikings, the Cowboys, the Rams, and the Bucs this year. Those are 5 really good wins. And I know they have the losses against Denver and New York, which they were Denver, they could have easily won that game. But those are really good wins. And not many people can say they can win those 5 games in a 5-game or 7-game stretch. So the Eagles' schedule is really tough this year. It's going to be something we're going to talk about in a little bit, but they really need to come out and show the world that they are still this great team and get to the bye week, because if they can win today, be 6-2 going into the bye, they will look good going into the second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their schedule and how it's kind of turned about, and these are really tough teams that they have had to go up against. At the time, the Chiefs weren't that great, but they have really turned it around. The Cowboys look like a serviceable team. It's just you look back at it, and they are looking like they're beating some good teams. All right, our trivia question. The Eagles have not been swept by the Giants in a while. What was the last time that it happened? It's been a while. So we're going to try to think of that answer and get back to us. And Matt will provide his guess later on in the show. So when was the last time the Giants swept the Eagles is our trivia question for today. Hopefully it will not end up being 2025. I don't think so. Eagles are without a ton of players today.
I think it's the biggest story. That's the biggest story today, in my opinion.
Yeah, the biggest. We'll go through all of them, but the biggest is A.J. Brown. Brown had 4 catches for 121 yards last week, along with 2 touchdowns in Minnesota. Popped up on the injury report this week with a hamstring injury and didn't practice all week. He had a hamstring injury in training camp. It remained tight from scar tissue as the week progressed, according to Jeff McClain of the Inquirer. Very interesting how it just kind of happened. And A.J. Brown as well throughout the week was, posting more stuff. Like I think Sunday he said, use me, but don't you, you're using me, but not using me. Something bizarre. Like, why is, like, he had 2 touchdowns, 4 catches on 21 yards. Like, I guess he just wants to go out there and dominate, but still, like, kind of strange that things are still something's going on behind the scenes that we don't know, obviously.
I feel like he's just trying to like rage bait everybody. Like somebody said that on Twitter. Like I feel like these posts are just for WIP to go out and rage bait and just continue to talk about him more and more. Which, if it is, it's kind of stupid he's doing that. But this is how wide receivers are. I fully expect this from tons of wide receivers in the NFL because they do the same thing. So I remember I saw another thing on Twitter. Somebody's like, look at like the Instagram and Twitter handles of like every NFL wide receiver. None of them are just like their names. It's always like 19 on business. Like that was like Devo's, or like 1K always open. That's AJ's. Like it's always something like that. Like it's so funny how they're always just like on social media. It's crazy. But now this is a big loss for the Eagles today. AJ Brown is one of the best players in the NFL when healthy. One of the best NFL wide receivers overall. He is just so great. And you can see last week how big of an impact he has on the game. Like if AJ is not playing that game last week, I don't think we win. Like he dominated Minnesota. He only had 4 catches and he still dominated them all day. Like that's how you know a player can single-handedly take over a game. Just his presence out there. And it's going to be tough for the Eagles today. It's going to be tough for them to replace him. Devontae Smith had equally an amazing day last week against Minnesota. Hopefully he can continue to build on that. You know, he's healthy. He's ready to go. But it's going to be a big day to find AJ's replacement. I don't want to say replacement, like you're going to replicate what he's doing. But those yards, if Eagles want to win, had to be made up somewhere. And I'm going to be really interested to see whether it just all singles out on Devontae Smith, if they start involving Saquon Barkley more in the passing game, or if they try a different way of the offense this week, because who knows how they're going to be able to win this game on offense, but they need to score if they want to win. And without AJ, it's going to be really hard for them to do.
Another one, Cam Jurgens, who injured his knee early last week and was replaced by Brett Toth, who is in line to start at center on Sunday today. Jurgens hasn't been great this year. However, the running game looked pretty good to start last week. 6 carries for 29 yards for Saquon. And when Juergens exited, so did the run game. So the Eagles, Juergens hasn't been 100% this season, but still a big loss.
No, 100%. This is going to be the first regular season game that Jason Kelce and Cam Juergens hadn't started since, I believe, 2014. I think it was. I think I saw that around. It's been well over a decade since that's happened, which is crazy to think about. The only other time when someone else has started was a playoff game. Dickerson started last year against the Rams. Remember that when Dickerson started and then Juergens moved to center? Which I don't know why they ever did that. They never explained that either. But anyway, it's gonna be the first time in a while that an Eagles center is not going to be Eagles starting center is not going to be Juergens or Jason Kelce. So it'll be interesting to see how Brett Toth does out there, who's expected to start today. I don't know if that's confirmed yet, but that's who's going to probably be out there.
Yeah.
It's been a really tough ordeal with this O-line. I truly feel like it's been a big reason why their offense was struggling in the first part of the season. And I hate to just be that guy that says, "Oh, the O-line just sucks." They would be playing so much better. But compared to other seasons, the Eagles O-line is not playing well. In past seasons, last year specifically, 2022, another one as well. They ran the ball effectively that season as well. They had multiple guys in the top of PFF's rankings, and I know I don't love using PSF stuff. They do well on offensive lineman ratings a little bit. So I like kind of look at their stuff with them. The only ones that they have positive this year is Jordan Mailata. He has been the only one that has really been great so far. Lane has been good too, but he's been injured a lot, so it's kind of affected his status. Lane Dickerson, Cam Juergens, Tyler Steen haven't been that great. I'm going to give Steen still more credit. He's been okay, but it just doesn't look great when the other guard and center for you play next to you. It just doesn't look good. And it's been a big reason why they have not been able to run in the middle with Barkley. And I don't know if Juergens has been playing with his knee injury for longer than they've, led on. And that might be a reason why he's not playing well. But it could be a major factor. And I don't know if things will get better today. It's really tough for me to just say, oh, now that he's not out there playing hurt, the run game will be better. Because it didn't look better when Juergens went out last week. But I can say that if the rest of that line is healthy, and when they are, even with Juergens, when he is healthy, because we've seen him be a great player. He's been a great player for this team ever since he's been drafted. When they're healthy, this O-line is legit. And I just really hope that they use, after today, they use the break that they have coming up with the bye week to get themselves healthy, try and learn from their mistakes over the last 8 weeks, that they're trying to be better and try to get Saquon Barkley going, because Saquon Barkley not only is way too valuable, but the cost you're putting into him has to be a product on the field, and it really isn't. They have a ton of money invested in this O-line. They have a ton of money invested in Saquon Barkley, and he needs to be a focal point of this offense. Like, whether AJ loves it or not, he keeps posting all those posts out about not getting the ball. I don't care. Saquon Barkley needs to be a prominent part of this offense, because I don't know if he's not, if they're going to be able to win a Super Bowl. If they can't run effectively come the playoffs or end of the season, or over these next 5 weeks out of the bye, I don't know if they're going to be able to get a lot of wins going forward. So it's really important that they get something going either today or after this bye week when they get healthy.
Finally, Eagles on the edge are extremely light, as Brandon Graham will not be playing today as he returned to the Eagles this week. It seemed like there could have been a chance, but Eagles will wait till after the bye week. He was a full participant throughout the week, but just part of his ramp up. And Azeez Ojulari, hamstring injury, suffered last week. He is out. So Eagles are down to 3 edge rushers: Jalen Hunt, Josh Uche, and Patrick Johnson, who got a sack last week. You'll see a little bit of Jahad Campbell off the edge as well. But Eagles, they need the bye week.
100%. 100%. It seems like it's coming at a right time for them, especially on defense, with some of their corners also being hurt as well. Ja'Cory Bennett and Dory Jackson, who's out today as well. This defense, it's going to be really interesting how this defense plays today, because, like you said, you're expecting Jahad Campbell to get some time on the edge, and it's probably gonna have to happen, especially when Nakobe Dean healthy. You would expect Campbell to put his hand on the line and go after the quarterback. Although I don't really, they've shown that a little bit this year. I don't really think that's the kind of player he is. I think he's an outside linebacker. I don't really see him being someone who could go down the edge that often. Maybe he could prove me wrong and have 3 sacks today. Who knows? But it's going to be a really light day on the pass rush. Like the defensive tackles are going to have their hands full today. Because some of them might have to move out at edge. Jalen Carter might have to take some snaps at edge rusher. Moro Jomo, another one, might have to move outside. It's going to be really interesting to see how they do these sets today, because the Vic Fangio, he's in for a big one today. He kind of got popped. Like, that was an embarrassing performance, probably his most embarrassing performance he's put up as D coordinator as with the Eagles 2 weeks ago against the Giants. Like, that was an embarrassment from the entire defense. I know Quinyon Mitchell and Jalen Carter didn't play pretty much the entire game, so you can kind of have that in the back of your mind when you think about how bad they played 2 weeks ago. But he has his handful. He now has film on Dart with his own defense. The Broncos were finally getting after Dart last weekend as well in that comeback win. It seemed like in the fourth quarter they were really getting going, Broncos defense. So he needs to put in a good game plan this week. And you really need it. They're not going to shut them out. Like, it's no shot the Giants just don't score today. It's going to happen. I would be shocked if it does. But they're going to score today. But you got to keep them in check. The defense is coming off a really decent game, and they just got to build on that. And with the edge rushers that are out, you're going to have to find creative ways to get after Dart and get after Scadaboo and put some pressure in their face.
Defense last week obviously wasn't great, give up 300 yards to Carson Wentz, but they had drives down to the 17, the 16, the 11, and the 10, and settled for field goals each time. You saw a real bend, don't break defense last week, which really helped the Eagles get that win. They gave up a lot of yards. They gave up long drives. They got destroyed on third down, but they came out with those 2 big turnovers, huge pass breakups down in the end zone, especially the one from Cooper DeJean on Justin Jefferson, and came up big in crunch time. It was a solid performance, solid bend, don't break performance by this defense. And now they have that tough cookie again with Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo. Really banged up defense. How are they going to do against them? How do you stop them?
No, 100%. I really don't know the answer to that question right now. Like, we'll see it today how they manage to. It's just with the guys that are out, I really don't know what they're going to be able to do. Like, Scadaboo runs with a head full of steam, and it's going to take a couple guys to get on him to really go after this defense. And Dart, I watched a lot of film on him this week. He is the definition of a really good rookie quarterback. Like, he obviously has the skills to be able to get outside of the pocket and make some good moves. He's an all or nothing guy, it feels like. And it just feels like he is going through some growing pains, especially with the wide receivers that aren't that great. Really just like Wandale Robinson, and then they're throwing to some okay guys after that. But like I said, it's going to be a really big week for Vic Fangio's defense. It's a week that they have to build on if they want to keep playing well going forward down the stretch. It's a week where they just need to get through, put a thumping on a young core that punched them in the mouth first 2 weeks ago. And like I said, they really need to show them and put them in place if they really want to put a thumping on some of these teams going forward. Because if you're just going to let these young cats just come in here and punch you in the face, then what's stopping other teams with some very dynamic offenses from doing the same exact thing in the next couple of weeks? So really interested to see how Fangio attacks. I think it's going to be more of fake blitzes and then pull off like Denver was doing a lot of that. I watched a lot of Denver's end of game film in the fourth quarter, and they were really doing that. They were bringing a 4 rush, but they were looking like they were bringing 6, and then they were pulling back 2. They could do a lot of that today, even with like Campbell on the edge, maybe doing that and putting more guys in coverage, because it makes the illusion like Dart's got to get it out quick, which he does. He's one of the fastest guys that gets the ball out in the league so far this season. So if they start doing a little bit of that, maybe they can make him make some bad decisions. Zach Bond is still playing at a high level. Nakobe Dean has been playing very well since he's come back, and the linebackers are good. It's just on the corners today. If the corners can stay tight, there's no Malik Neighbors out there. It's not like anybody's really going to game change on the wide receiver core. like I said, Wan'Dale Robinson has been really the only reliable one for them. So it's going to be interesting how this defense attacks them going forward. And I'm really interested to see what Fangio dials up today.
All right, we gotta talk about Jalen Hurts last week.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable. Maybe his best performance as an Eagle ever. Maybe Super Bowl. It's tough to say. 19 for 23, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, and a picture perfect 158.3 passer rating versus the number 1 pass defense in the NFL. What made him so good last week?
What really made him so good was he didn't play with his fear. Like it really felt like he just went out there and used his arm to his advantage and trusted his wide receivers in their routes. I think last week, especially though, it really helped that Devontae Smith and AJ Brown were getting open in coverage a lot. It really felt like they knew kind of the coverages that these corners were running, and they knew how to get open. Devontae Smith, especially. I think Devontae Smith, we're very undervaluing his game last week. I think that might have been his best game as an Eagle last week. The amount of routes, I remember somebody posted it last week on Twitter. The like next gen stats, like routes that he was taking, and like or that he was running during that game. He was moving. He was putting some of them corners on skates last week against Minnesota. He really was just wide open every time, and it was helping Hurts so much just in the passing game because it just felt that he was getting more comfortable in that spot. The defense obviously getting that pick six helped early, and then getting that interception on Wentz as well gave them really good field position at times, and it gave them the opportunity to stay in that game. And then the field goals, obviously, like we mentioned before, down to every time they got into the red zone, the Minnesota, they just couldn't finish, and it kept the Eagles ahead so they could just, run some clock or have some good drives when they needed to and take their time. And that was the big thing with Hurts. It just felt like he was calm, cool, collective. It felt like he, shook off the previous two games, really, because he really wasn't that great in the Denver game either. Previous 2 games, he just shook off and just felt like he was locked in and ready to go in that game. And I really hope that he continues to do that. He has honestly feels like we're undervaluing him this year. He has the second best touchdown to interception ratio this year behind only Patrick Mahomes. 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the year. He really hasn't made that many mistakes with the football. He's gunslinging right now. He hasn't really even used his legs recently, and that's been a major critique in him. They feel like he uses his legs too much, but he really hasn't. He hasn't rushed for a touchdown. I think in 4 weeks, 3 weeks now, yeah, something like that. After having 4 through the first couple games, so he's been playing as a more complete quarterback over these last few weeks, and it really showed last week. And I really hope that continues going forward. It's going to be hard. We know AJ today. That's a big safety blanket, AJ. So, like I mentioned earlier, someone has to step up in AJ's place and pick up the stats that he would record in today's game. And I don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be more with Smitty. It's going to be more with Saquon, Dallas Goedert, John Mechie, Jahan Dotson. I don't know if Darius Cooper is playing today, but I know he's off the IR. Maybe him as well. Who knows? Somebody has to fill that spot. I don't know when it's going to happen or who it's going to be, but if that can happen again, I think Jalen Hurts can once again have a really good day for the Eagles.
Yeah, maybe Dallas Goedert could be his security blanket, as it is National Tight Ends Day.
It is.
So maybe we'll see some Dallas Goedert, but it could be Devontae Smith. We'll talk about it in just a second. But last time the Eagles played the Giants, Jalen Hurts was bad. He was throwing the ball in harm's way, turning the ball over, didn't look comfortable, and he had both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith this week. He doesn't. How can he adjust against the Giants? It's just not throwing bad balls, and maybe because he missed Devontae Smith on that one where he had him wide open down the field. He threw that one that was intercepted and almost returned back for a touchdown. How does Jalen turn it around?
I think the way he's going to turn this around is honestly just playing to his strengths and giving what the defense gives him. Whether that's if they bring a blitz and he has to make a tough throw, so they had to do that. If they go soft and if they go heavy in coverage and they only bring 3 or 4 in his face, use his legs and either roll out and find the open guy or use his legs and get the first down. playing to his strengths is such a big thing, and he's got to realize what they're doing early on. I think getting after this defense, Giants defense early is another big part too. If the Eagles offense can continue to do what they do best, and that's put points up early and grow their leads like they normally do, and then try to contain as the game goes on, I think that's another big thing what hurts too. If they can go up, like how it's kind of like how that Tampa Bay game, they went up big on that Tampa Bay game, and it pretty much made it impossible for Tampa Bay to come back in that game. If they can do that, I really think that Hurts can continue having a great game and can be the difference in how he played against the Giants a couple weeks ago versus today. Just playing to his strengths, taking what the defense gives him, and just like I said, trying to find that weapon today. Someone's got to step up in that spot. If not, then the Eagles aren't going to win. If someone does step up, then I think the Eagles really have a good shot to win today.
Devontae Smith last week. My goodness. 9 catches, 183 yards. It's a career high. The most ever by an Eagles receiver since Jeremy Maclin had 187 in 2014. What a performance by Smitty. The best we've ever seen him. And he's going to need to step up huge again today because of A.J. Brown's absence. And I have him starting in fantasy this week.
That's a good reason to really want to have a good day. But no, I mentioned it earlier. Devontae Smith, I think, had his best game as an Eagle last week. And honestly, I couldn't believe how open he was getting. And the Vikings were just letting him get open, it felt like, the entire game. He is such a big X factor in this offense. And I feel like he just does not get his appreciation because of how great of A.J. Brown is. That they just assume A.J. is wide receiver 1 going forward. There have been many games through the A.J. and Smitty era that Devontae Smith has been the number 1 target on the team for that game. And it's so awesome that it just continues to play well. Notoriously, he plays very well against the Giants and Commanders, and even Dallas too. He plays very well against NFC East opponents. And I hope today that they just don't – I should say don't double team him, but I hope today that they're still able to get the ball into his hands despite him probably seeing a little bit more of double teams today, because they're going to try to take him away and force Jahan Dotson and Mechie to be the next guys up after that for the Eagles. So I really hope that Smitty just continues to play really well because he is coming off the best game I think I've ever seen him play. He almost had 200 receiving yards against the number 1 pass defense in the NFL, which is otherworldly. Like the fact that I know that a lot of it came from that one big touchdown play, and that helped a lot. But it's still all day. It felt like whenever they needed a big first down, he was there to get it. Whether it was coming through the flats and then he'd run him for a first down, whether it was over the middle and then Hurts would find him wide open for another first down again. Like AJ was the big guy that they look for in the big spots. But every time they really needed that, 15 yards on a second down, or it was a first and long, and then they would need to gain a lot of yards back, Smitty was that guy, and he was open every single play, it felt like, last week. So I'm really hoping that he continues to have another good week in a row before that bye week, because he's having one of his better seasons as the Eagles. Like, he very underratedly feel like he's having his best season as an Eagle.
I feel like Devontae Smith always seems to kind of go under the radar with A.J. Brown on this team, but Devontae Smith could be a wide receiver 1 on so many teams in the NFL, and he is a wide receiver 2 here. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't say there's less than like 15, 14, 13, around that number of teams where they would say, I want Devontae Smith as my wide receiver 1 over whatever they currently have. There are not many teams. Like, there's obviously the big dogs, like the Jeffersons and the Chases, and the Amon-Ra's of the world that are obviously going to have them. And you would even say AJ is still wide receiver 1, but you're getting down to the teams like, you can throw Cowboys in there with CD. You're getting down to the teams like Carolina and like Oakland, or Vegas, excuse me. Even like maybe Pittsburgh. Like, I like DK Metcalf, but I still think Devontae Smith in Pittsburgh would be great. Like, all the teams that take Smitty right now as their wide receiver 1, and he would excel in a lot of those teams' offenses. So it's really happy to be like, oh yeah, we have AJ, and then our second option is Devontae Smith. Like, that's just crazy to think about how great it is to have the both of them. But now he turns into wide receiver 1. We'll see how he does today.
Another week failing to establish the run. Vikings have the 8th worst run defense in the NFL. Barkley only had 44 yards and 18 carries, despite 26 in his first 6. Is this the week that opens up?
We keep saying it like it's eventually it has to eventually work, and eventually I think it will. I just don't know if this is the week. Like, it feels like that New York is going to come in and make it a mission not to let Saquon Barkley destroy them. Even though this is a very similar front seven that they faced last year when Saquon Barkley destroyed them in his sole matchup in New York for 100 and like 20, 30 yards, however many it was last year. But this could be it. Saquon does have a chip on his shoulder, and you feel like he has to break out one of these games. It could be this week. He's playing his former team. He wants some revenge still. Didn't get to play them last year at home, but and he's wearing them Kelly Greens too. He's done some special things in those Kelly Green jerseys. As you remember that Jags game last year. Yeah, like I said, it feels like it has to break eventually. That Saquon has to break out of this ice shell and just go off as for the great running back that he is. I just don't know with AJ being out that this is the week it's going to happen. I feel like they're going to key on Smith. I feel like they're going to key on the run with Saquon and make sure that he can't get anything going. I feel like, once again, the Giants are going to put the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands, and they're going to force him to try and win this game. I would be very shocked if Saquon gets even close to 100 yards. If they do, it's either going to be from one really big play or the Giants would really just force Saquon to beat them in the rushing game, and I doubt that's going to happen. I think they'd rather go with Hurts. I know he's been playing well, but again, I think they'd rather just take their chances getting after Hurts in the pass rush because they have a really good pass rush, and their front seven is disgusting. So I think they're going to force that and really just continue to make Saquon be a pass blocker and be a guy that just can get some checkdowns and stuff like that. So I'd be shocked if Saquon has anything really over 60-ish yards, 50, 60 yards. And I just don't think – I think they're going to try after the bye week to try and get him going, whether that's seeing it on film or just trying to see if they can change up the way they run their offensive line structure because they can't really do that in the middle of a week going into a game.
I feel like last year the narrative throughout the year was the Eagles don't score in the first quarter, on the first drive. Now it's every week we're talking about the run game, so it's just a different thing. Every single week, touch push always seems to come up. It's just the same things over and over and over again. There's always one a year. So this year it seems to be the run game. But we head into the bye next week. Of course, the Eagles looking to handle business this afternoon. But the next 5 out of the bye, we were talking before we went live. You got the Packers on Monday night. You got the Lions on Sunday night at home. You go to Dallas for a 4:25 kick. You host the Bears on Black Friday. And then you go to Los Angeles to play the Chargers on Monday night. That is a really tough 5 right out of the bye, and then you face the Raiders, and then kind of Washington twice, whatever.
Don't forget about Buffalo in there as well.
Oh yeah, Buffalo.
We haven't forgot about Buffalo. Yeah, something in between Washington. Yeah, it's Buffalo. That's still a tough game too.
Yeah, so you got the rest of your year is tough, really back-ended. Yeah. So it's very important to go into the bye 6-2 because a lot of crazy things could happen out of the bye because these are tough. I mean, Packers, Lions, Chargers, Bills. Washington's not someone to mess with. Jaden Daniels, we'll see what goes on with his hamstring. Dallas isn't a team to mess with. Chicago, could be good by then. Like, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, no, those Chargers, Detroit, Packers, and Buffalo. Those are 4 inside the top 10 of top odds to win the Super Bowl. Like you could realistically make a case that any of those 4 could win the Super Bowl this year. 100%. And Dallas's offense is no laughing matter. We saw them week 1. We have to go down there. Chicago is playing really good football right now. And like you said, if Jaden Daniels is healthy, Washington is a threat for both those games. Like the Raiders is the only kind of easy one. That's just because the Raiders aren't having that great of a season, but they still have some playmakers too. Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers. But yeah, it is really important to get this win today. Yeah, the difference in 6-2 and 5-3 is huge for this Eagles team because if you told me right now that at 6-2 going into the bye, they really realistically only have to win 5 more games to to pretty much win the division. I would say they only really need to win 5 more games to clinch a playoff spot. 10-7 in the NFC should get them in the playoffs. So that isn't something crazy to worry about. But if they really want to win this division, they got to get to about 11 wins to get past Washington and Dallas. I don't think the Giants are going to be able to get to that many wins the rest of this year. And that's a big difference between 6 and 5 wins. It pretty much tells you, well, if we lose today, we're going to have to win like 6 again. We're going to have to win like 3 of the Green Bay, Detroit, Chargers, and Buffalo games. And that's a tough task to handle. And with Chicago and Dallas in there, like these are not easy games that they're going to have the rest of the season. So it is really important to get this win today and to do everything they can to get that win because, like we said, they have that bye coming up. It's going to be massive for them. It really feels like the right time for them. Like last year, week 5 felt like that perfect bye for them because it was right after all those injuries. They really needed time to get better. And then as the middle of the season went on, they just, they used their great play week after week after week to rally them going into the end of the season. And then, as we know, they end up winning the Super Bowl. This year is kind of the opposite. They've had the injuries, but they've been able to get by and win some of these games that they've been able to without some of their top players. And now they go into the middle of the season and they really feel like they need that middle of the season break to get healthy. And then once they come back, they have tough games and they just have to use the health that they get right now to their advantage going forward. So I'm really hoping that they can pull out this win today just for the fact not only to win another game, but to really feel right going into this bye week because they really need to have that great feeling coming out of the bye, going into Green Bay, Monday Night Football, and moving forward with the rest of the season they have going forward. So this is a really monumental game that honestly we could look back at the end of the season, like to say they win the Super Bowl again. You can look back and be like, man, thank God we got that Giants win like midway through the year. That could be the difference between a first seed, a second seed, and a third seed. Who knows what this could determine going forward? So really monumental game today, in my opinion.
Every game matters in the NFL, and it doesn't matter who you're playing. You got to go out there and get a win. All right, let's look at the inactives. Week 8, Eagles, Giants, Kelly Green at Lincoln Financial Field. For the Eagles, you got a lot of talent on this inactives list. Adoree Jackson, A.J. Brown, Azeez Ojulari, Cam Jurgens, and Sam Howell will be that third quarterback. We talked about all of those guys throughout the show earlier. And then for the Giants, safety Javon Holland, wide receiver Jalen Hyatt, cornerback Paulson Adebo, tackle James Hudson, D lineman Chauncey Golston, O lineman Evan Neal, and third quarterback will be Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston and Brandon Graham are kind of chirping each other pregame, which is funny because neither of them are playing today. So they were trash talking. I guess who's gonna cheer ladder from the bench, but so those are your inactives list. Nothing too shocking. I mean, the Eagles one's crazy, but we talked about it earlier, and nothing crazy for the Giants either, Matt.
Yeah, no, we pretty much knew after they announced most of those outs anyway yesterday. You pretty much knew that this was coming for the Eagles, and it was going to be a tough day. You were interested to see if they activate any more edge rushers. Doesn't look like it. So that's just how it's going to be today. It's going to be a tough depth kind of day, but that's just how the Eagles are going to have to pull through it today. For the Giants, though, that's a big hit to their secondary today. Javon Holland and Paulson Adebo out. That's going to move up guys in their depth chart that really haven't seen starting spots like that. Kind of a spoiler to earlier, but Devontae Smith is going to he was one of my big guys today. I think that was going to have some big days. And Cordell Flott is going to be the guy probably that lines up against Smith majority of the day. The Giants second corner now moving into the first slot and more down the stretch. So again, maybe Jahan Dotson or maybe John Mechie, has a big day going against some of these lower end Giants corners. And that's the difference in today's game. But that's a really big hit to their secondary today. And I'm really hoping that the Eagles can take advantage of that and hopefully continue this stellar passing game that we saw last week.
15 minutes until kickoff at the link. Matt, what are your notable matchups today, Eagles-Giants?
All right. So number one, I think has to be Jackson Dart overall. And you can put it with a player, you can put it with the entire defense. I'm going with Jackson Dart versus Vic Fangio. I mentioned it. This is a big game for Fangio. He admitted that he was embarrassed by the way the team played after the Thursday night game. He gave Jackson Dart a lot of credit. He knows he's a good quarterback, and I think I need to personally apologize to Jackson Dart. I was not high on this kid coming out of the draft. I didn't see it. I didn't see what a lot of other scouts saw. I saw a scared kid out of Ole Miss, and I really didn't think that he was that great coming out of the draft. But he has been absolutely phenomenal through these first, I think this is game 5 for him. Yeah, 5, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is game 5 or 6. Anyway, he has just been absolutely incredible for the Giants. He has been the answer quarterback that they've needed now since Eli Manning retired, even before then. In the middle of the end of Eli, they have needed a quarterback, and they are finally getting one in Jackson Dart. Vic Fangio knows that he is filming this kid now. He knows what makes him hurt. He knows what he does bad and what he does good. They need to take advantage of that. Jackson Dart versus Vic Fangio is my first matchup of the day. Matchup number 2, I kind of spoiled this a little bit just now, but Devontae Smith versus, I had Paulson Adebo and Cordell Flott, just whoever's going to be guarding him. Adebo's out. Most likely Cordell Flott is going to be the guy that's on Devontae all day. I'm really hoping that he keeps going, Devontae, today, and continues his great matchup, or his great stretch of playing that he's going through right now. And against some weak corners, I think that honestly could happen today. He's got to get open for Jalen with no AJ in there. He's got to be the guy that he knows he can be as a wide receiver 1 in this league. So I'm really hoping that Devontae has a good day, and he's my second notable matchup.
All right, thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring the show and the SeatGeek Standout Stars segment. SeatGeek, easiest way to buy your tickets, most efficient way to buy and sell as well if you want to sell tickets. But we're talking about buying tickets. Each seat is given a green, red, or yellow dot. It indicates whether purchasing that ticket, good, bad, or fair deal. If you use code Philly Sports Report, check out. I can't speak. Save $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Philly Sports Report, $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. The holidays are coming up. Halloween is just less than a week away, and then we get into the Thanksgiving, Christmas season. So, whatever you celebrate. So, get some tickets. Use code Philly Sports Sports at $20 off for SeatGeek purchase. It's not just the Eagles. It's not just Six. It's not just Flies. It's everything. Concerts, comedy, whatever you want to go to is all on SeatGeek. So, Matt, give me 2 stars that are going to shine today for the Eagles or the Giants, whatever you got.
No, 2 stars I have today. 100%. I have to go with Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert dominated the last time the Eagles played the Giants on Thursday night. 9 receptions for 110 yards and a touchdown. That was just an absolutely incredible game. I'm not expecting him to go that crazy today, but I will say I'm expecting him to have a big game. Giants can't cover the tight end well. We mentioned earlier it's National Tight Ends Day. This would be the day that he really should be playing well. They're going to look for him a lot. He's basically wide receiver 2 today with AJ out. And I hate to say this because I'm playing him in fantasy, but I think he's due for a really big day. I'm expecting him to have some really good numbers in the reception game. I think he will kind of be like Jalen's check down and kind of like go-to guy in short yardage situations when they're passing. Because I feel like Devontae was that guy last week, but I feel like he's just not going to be able to hit Devontae as much with the extra covers that he's going to see. So I had Dallas Goedert as one of my standout stars. And my other one, I am going with Jahad Campbell. I truly think that he's due for a really big game. I think that on the edge and kind of coming off the edge and faking blitzes is going to be his way to go. I think he's going to pick up an interception today and may even record a sack. I don't want to guarantee that, but I think if he is truly going after the pass rusher, going after Dart today and rushing the quarterback, today could be his kind of day to get his first. Or I don't know if it's his first NFL sack. We didn't have one yet, but I think there's a good chance he could record a sack today. So I'm expecting a big game out of Jahad Campbell. And those are no doubt my 2 standout stars for today.
The Eagles also, they're going to need big stuff from their interior guys, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. Not much coming off the edge, so those 2 Georgia Bulldogs are going to need to come up big this afternoon. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring the show and SeatGeek Standout Stars. Our locks of the game segment, Eagles are listed as -7.5 today against the Giants with an over-under. Same as last week, 43.5. Matt, what are you going with those and also some other locks today?
I am once again lock of the week over 43.5. I said it last week. I told you that's going to be 100% a lock on that over points. Similar to this week, I think there's going to be some points from both teams. I would be very shocked if the Giants don't at least find the end zone twice today, possibly even a third time. I think they get some field goals out. Eagles, I still think they're going to score a decent amount of touchdowns today, at least 2, maybe 3. That should put them right about that 40-ish to 47 points right there for combined. And I do think they go over today. That's my number 1 lock. Number 2, Aaron Dolan has been talking about this all day. I was watching TV right before we came down and started the show. She really loves Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, and I really love Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. It's my prop bet of the day, 100%. I think Jalen Hurts finds the end zone. He's going to have to use his legs a little bit today. And with AJ out, and if they give him the third down rushes, he's got to break their hearts on third down and has to find the open lane and take the yards that he can get. I think that he is due for some big rushing yards. I wouldn't guarantee that he gets over that 20 to 25 range, but there's a good chance he does if he's going to be running a lot, and I think he will. But I would go Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown and a little bit of tight end love. I think Dallas Goedert's going to find I'm not going to say find the end zone, but he's going to be find wide open all day. I think 4 to 5 receptions is his sweet spot. I think that's around where his line is. I would probably guarantee 4, and I think he's going to be get hit in his over 47.5 yards for receiving on the day. I think that's almost a guarantee at this point today. With national tight ends today, Dallas Goedert's going to have a decent day, and it's going to pain me to be playing him in fantasy, but I do think going to be a big Dallas Goedert show today.
Here's a developing story. AJ Brown, which we're back to the AJ Brown nonsense, has seemed to have deleted an old tweet where he praised Jalen Hurts. He also has deleted almost all tweets where he mentioned him in the past. So here's the original tweet. Can't break a man if he's humble. Tremendous character. Got nothing but love and respect for Jalen. That's family. That's January 9th, 2018. Now gone. This was before some stuff regarding Jalen Hurts, 2016, 2022. Gone.
Oh, boy. Just at this point, I don't even know if he's like just trying to mess with everybody or if he really wants to get traded. I kind of wish he would just flat out say like what he wants so we could stop like speculating with all this stuff. But I really hope that he's just not being a weirdo and just come out and play, man. That's all I really want from you. Just I hate to be like the just shut up and play football guy, but that's just how I feel right now. Like just either be mad or just and say it or just don't say anything at all.
All right, our trivia question was when was the last time the Giants swept the Eagles in a season? Matt Brown, do you know the answer?
I do. Unfortunately, I don't remember much about this season. I was only, I believe, I was 5 years old when this was happening. I believe it was 2007 when the Giants ended up winning the NFC East, going to the Super Bowl, heavy underdogs as they were playing, the undefeated New England Patriots, and won that Super Bowl that season. So if that means the last time that happened, that's going to be sad, but I'm going with the 2007 Giants.
That is correct. The 2007 Giants beat the Eagles 16-3 and 16-13 that season. I was born in 2007. Jesus. So the last time the Giants were swept by the Eagles, I was born. So it's been crazy. 18 years since the last time. So it has been a while. So Matt stays undefeated with the trivia. I haven't stumped you or Sam yet, so I gotta start digging a little bit so I can try to get you guys sometime this season. Foco Fit Check. Real fans need the best gear. That's why Foco makes the best gear for the most legendary fans. Click on the link in the description to save at Foco. Matt, what are we rocking today on Kelly Green Game Day?
So obviously I got the Kelly Green on. I have the Jason Kelce Kelly Green jersey. I got this a couple years ago. I think for Christmas. I got this a couple years ago for Christmas. Like the first season when they started wearing them and selling them. Jake Kels, one of my favorite Eagles of all time, probably number one. I love this jersey. I wear it as often as I do. When I wear jerseys, this is probably my go-to. Either this one or I got a nice Jerome Brown one as well. Those are my go-to. So got to go with the Kelly Green for today's game. You know, it's a special. It can't always bring it out. But so this is what I'm going with today. Special occasion. And I'm also rocking kind of a special occasion. From Foco, we got the Foco overalls. I like it. It looks good. It looks good. I don't. Oh, I just took my mic out. I don't always rock the overalls. Can you hear me still? Yeah, you're good. All right, cool. So I don't always rock the overalls, but when I do, it's for a special occasion. I have the Phillies ones. Foco sent me the Phillies ones as well, and they have not won when I wear them. So you can't wear them anymore, man. I love Foco, but I can't wear their Phillies overalls because they've resulted in 3 horrible playoff losses. God. So I wore them game 6 and 7 of the NLCS. And I was like, because I got them, they came on game 6. So I wore them game 6, they lost. Game 7, I wore them, they lost. Then I was like, all right, let's try to switch up the mojo. So I wore them game 4 last year. And then Door hit the grand slam, and I threw the overalls across the room. So I can't wear this. But the Eagles are undefeated when I wear these. So hopefully that's a good sign. Hopefully that rains today. All right, thank you to Foco for sponsoring the Foco Fit Check. All right, Matt, what keys do the Eagles need today to not let a repeat of 2 weeks ago? So number 1 is getting Jackson Dart's face, similar to how they did it last week with Carson Wentz. You saw early on how much they were in Wentz's face. They were making him make mistakes with that one long interception and the wonderful pick six to Jalen on. Get in Dart's face, make him uncomfortable. Same, and even Scatterwood too. Make this team be pissed off at you. Like, ran them in the dirt. Be the older brother that shoves his little brother's face into the ground and makes him say uncle until he lets him go. That's how they need to be, especially early on. Set the tone. It sucks because like I would love this team if they weren't the Giants. Like if this was any other like any NFL team, I would be like, oh, this team is awesome. This core is cool. These young kids are coming and they're really doing really well. But I can't like them because they're the Giants. So be the older brother, be the more experienced team, ram their face in some dirt early on, get Dart uncomfortable. That's number one. Number two, use your weapons to your advantage. You know, it's a free-for-all today. No AJ. We're expecting Smith to get a lot of the workload, but use Goddard, use Mechie, use Jahan Dotson. If Darius Cooper's healthy, use him. Grant Calcaterra's back. Use him if you have to. Use Saquon Barkley in the passing game if you have to. Fine. You have enough weapons to win today's game. Use them. Use them as much as you can. That it's big on Kevin Patula today to be able to surround this offense with playmakers still and get them open on whatever types of plays he's calling. So use your weapons to an advantage. And I'm just expecting a good day out of Hurts if that can happen. So I'm really hoping that they get in Dart's face on defense, make him uncomfortable, make him make mistakes, and use every weapon possible to help Jalen Hurts win this game.
All right, big one today for the Eagles. In-house wise, as they head into the bye, put your predictions in the chat. I'm going with the Eagles today. They're losing. They have a lot of talent out on offense. This Giants offense is going to score a couple points, but the Eagles are still going to win. It's going to be a little closer than some people think. And low scoring. 23-16, Philadelphia goes 6-2 into the bye, which is exactly where they should be.
I also have them winning. I have them winning 27-23. That 7.5 is a lot of points. I'd probably take the Giants plus 7.5. 5 is better. I'm not going to be touching that, though. I do think that today will be the day that the Eagles can rightfully get the momentum going as they go into the bye week. I think Saquon Barkley could find the end zone. Jalen Hurts definitely does, but I think Jalen has another overall solid day in the air and on the ground, and that really puts the Eagles over the top, and they win 27-23.
All right, that's going to do it for the Eagles pregame show brought to you by SeatGeek. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring the show, as always, and Foco for sponsoring the Fit Check. Check out PhillySportsSports.com postgame for the recap and throughout the bye week and into next week. We got a bunch of stuff.
Trade deadline's coming up.
Yeah, trade deadline November 4th, so we'll definitely have a lot of stuff out regarding that as well. And if you are a fan of the Philadelphia Union, who start their playoff today, we'll have coverage of that on the website as well. Follow us on all social medias. Ben, me, and Matt as well. Thank you for tuning in to the pregame show. We will see you after the bye. Go Birds!
Go Birds!